Gentlemen, it's James, how are you?
James, J.M.I. Gallagher, how are you, my friend?
Doing very well. Yourself?
Very good, very good. Author from North Carolina, and how have you been through all this COVID summer?
Well, good. I mean, I'm alive, and that's probably all anybody can ask for at this point. I assume you guys have stayed safe as well.
Yes, safe as can be. As safe as can be. Has writing changed for you at all during this time?
It's a good question. I'd like to say yeah. I'd like to say that, wow, being locked in a house, just I was able to write all the time, but the reality was, I think everybody still had to work to some degree. So one of the worst parts about being locked in your house is if you work. And I'm in education, so I'm dealing with college students and stuff.
Yes.
They want to bother you 24/7. They figure if you're at home, then they can just text at 3 a.m. about an assignment. So I mean, I don't know. Did you guys get out? Were you working out of the home during this? Were you
Well, me and some are essential. We put hot dogs on shelves, so we still putting the hot dogs on the shelves.
Well, I order people to put.
Oh yeah, he bosses them.
I bosses people around
to put the hot dogs out faster. I'm just the bottom. I don't want to float to the top like Slim.
I know. Lovely. So you guys did work the whole time, and you still didn't catch COVID.
I swear to God, I had it in like December, late December. I feel I had one of the worst flus I've ever had, and I can't say how long. Fevers, sweating, and delirium. And I only called out one day for it, so I think I had it.
Called out one day.
Yeah.
And you took it to work and gave it to the hot dog stalker.
And all the other hot dogs had it. But like everyone I worked with, like people had it for a while before me or whatever it was, and like a couple of my coworkers went to doctors and such, and were told they had a mysterious respiratory issue. They couldn't even diagnose it. So yeah, I think we all had it.
So everybody, you probably all had COVID, but you survived.
And I was super sick. Like I remember my mom being shocked that I was going back to work the next day, and I'm just like, I can't afford to stay home, which is like the normal mindset. Like I gotta make money.
I mean, if you're sick as hell and you're going to die, you go to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is all before COVID was even a thing. It was like November that we were all like sick like this. So that's why we think we had it before they even knew it was like out there.
Also, one of the mayors at that time said he had it. One of the mayors of the towns pretty close to here, and when he got tested for antibodies, he had like long-term antibodies. Like, so if it started
he must have been sick.
So yeah, he definitely had it because if it started when they said it would have, he wouldn't have had these already. So yeah, it was definitely around before they said it.
Wow. Well, you're alive. That's good. I mean, what would we do for good podcasts if you weren't?
Right? Exactly. You'd be looking to, I don't know, a bunch of others. I don't know. J.M.I, you just launched over the summer a new series, correct? Or
I did, yeah. I put out another book of short stories over late summertime. Yeah, like probably July, August, something like that.
And that's called The Tijuana Box and Other Tales, correct?
The Tijuana Box, that's right, and Other Tales, you got it.
Nice. What do they all come together, all the stories, or are they all separate?
They don't. They're all separate. The last time you guys had me on was for 10 Bad Things, which thematically all of those stories sort of fell into the horror genre and had relatively nasty endings. I'd say the Tijuana Box and Other Tales is kind of I don't know, it's a large soup of different stuff, but it's not just straight horror. It's kind of a lot of strange fiction, Twilight Zone, bizarre endings, a little bit of humor mixed in. So a mixed bag.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read the first story in that collection, the Tijuana Box, and I felt it gave me like Creepshow kind of vibes, like like early horror comic book type story.
Yeah. Tales from the Crypt kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Pulp fiction-y type stuff. Yeah.
Cool. And what was your inspiration for it, or is it just something you've always been working on?
That's the question you can't ever ask a writer. Where did it come from? Where'd you get your ideas? That kind of thing. Nobody really knows. You just you observe things in life. Ray Bradbury, right? You guys went to high school, so you were forced to probably read Fahrenheit 451.
I like Bradbury.
Oh, that was before me. I was reading, I don't know, Animal Farm.
I read Martian Chronicles in high school.
Okay, all right, yeah. So you're familiar with Bradbury. Bradbury, I think, probably said it best for all writers, whether they want to admit it or not, that you go through life and you observe things and you take in a lot, and that stuff just rattles around in your brain if you have a brain at all. And for people who are artistic, it just comes out eventually. So, for instance, one of the stories that I wrote that's in this book called A Miracle on Cag Hill, I was in a grocery store and I just saw this impossibly thin lady checking out. The kind that you look at and you're like, okay, the only thing that can do that to you is drugs or like really bad disease. You know what I'm talking about? You ever see somebody like that where you're like, how are you still alive?
Yeah. Yeah.
And for normal people, they just look at that and they think, man, that person's really sick or they need to lay off the meth. But for an artistic person, you look at that person and you think, I wonder if they contracted some sort of alien virus and that's why they're so thin and suddenly you have a story or whatever.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Cool. And I was going to ask, at some point, James, would you be able to read us something?
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever you want.
You ready now?
And I'll give you the choice.
Oh, yeah. If we can go now, that'd be awesome.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you guys, I looked through and I thought, all right, there's a couple stories that would probably fit time frame. So I'll give you a choice, all right? So you guys can pick. The first one is called Clean Up at Hal's Place. And the main character is a grocery store shelf stalker, not unlike somebody you probably know. And he's got a really irritating wife. Or the other one, which is called A Miracle on Cag Hill, which is related to that ultra skinny lady that I saw in the store one day. So it's up to you.
I'll let Slim choose because they both sound amazing.
Yeah. I think the first one. I want to
hear
The guy with the irritating wife who stocks shelves?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's relatable.
Okay. It's relatable. It's down to earth. That's right. I'm every man's author. All right.
I'm divorced, James. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. It's called Clean Up at Hal's Place. Hal had grown to hate his wife, Kristen. She had grown plump and broody over the years, and he couldn't help but see a resemblance to a white Jersey giant, only lacking the plumage. He realized the shallowness of his judgment, but she'd become exceedingly demanding as well, clucking and crowing orders at him whenever he wasn't at work. Now she spent her nights upstairs while he dwelt downstairs. It was safer to remain separate to minimize all the henpecking. Despite the divide between the two floors, she still managed to ride him like a jockey, hacking away at his hind end continuously. He equally despised his job. Having skipped college, he'd settled for employment at the local IGA. It was bagging produce and cleaning up smashed jars of pickles on the regular for minimum wage. His only fleeting moment of joy came during break time, when he was able to grab a quick smoke behind the dumpster and trade blue sky for the droning buzz of fluorescent lighting. Perhaps it was the state of his relationship, or the startling speed at which his existence had been ground to a pulp in the garbage disposal of life, but each new day seemed insurmountable. The smell of cleansers, the stale odor of sweat that clung to his boss, and the squeak of his sneakers on the freshly waxed floors. He could barely stomach the break room snacks, honey buns, peanut bars, and Lance crackers. The repetition of it had worn away what little humanity he had left. He shuffled through life, a shucked ear of corn, dried and weightless. Hal also hated roaches. It was a perennial problem at work, and now it was a problem at home. At the grocery store, they'd scurry frantically away every time he moved a pallet jack of cereal or dried macaroni. Traps couldn't catch him, and they mocked poison. They bred too fast to be controlled. He'd nailed a thick square of plywood to the bottom of a broom handle, like an oversized potato masher, and took to crushing them into a sticky brown slop. It failed to reduce the population, but it provided a diversion in his otherwise joyless day. At home, they came out evenings, when the glow of the television and the calm of the night had cast its spell. He could see them, hear them. Sometimes he'd feel them when they were bold enough to crawl up the mountainside of his recliner and onto his arms or legs. He'd gotten to the point where he'd smashed them barehanded and wiped the pulp onto an old t-shirt. He didn't bother chasing the vermin around with a can of Raid. It took too much effort without any return on the investment. He'd waved the white flag of surrender. Nowadays, he talked to them instead of waging war. Kristen spent her time upstairs in the bedroom while he camped out in the living room. Without suitable company, the Roaches became attentive listeners, a gathering of little amber-colored compadres. "Well, here we are again, boys," he'd say. "Another night of feasting for you and another night of lone lazy boy ranger for me. You fellas get enough to eat?" The swarms of roaches would halt, wave their antennae, and spring into motion again once Hal quit talking. He flipped through the channels, and the roaches scoured the floors for stray crumbs. It was a quiet truce for Hal and the roaches. One evening, as a rerun of The Twilight Zone ended, and Hal dozed, he was awakened by a rustling on the nearby couch. Through sleep-heavy eyes, he squinted at the dim outline next to him. "Kristen?" he said, squinting and pulling the recliner leveler to sit upright. No reply, just a squeaky, crisp, rustling symphony of antenna and legs. By the light of the white static screen, he saw a man on the couch. He leaned closer. It was no man. The puzzlement of the vision caused him to rub his eyes and don his spectacles. The roaches had done a curious thing. They had amassed into a swarming, constantly changing humanoid form, approximately the same size as Hal. The Roach Man had vague features, a slight concave where mouth and eyes should be, and lumpy appendages. The head swiveled and pointed in Hal's direction. "Not Kristen," it whispered. Hal reached for an unopened beer and cracked the tab. A Roach Man, he thought. Not sure how that happens, but there he is. For some reason, he felt no fear. Roaches didn't bite. They were easy to kill. He'd smashed plenty of them in past months, and he thought of this creature not being hostile or vengeful. It was far from his mind. "Hey," said Hal, "you hungry?" The mask shifted, and the mouth opened. "Hungry," it echoed. Hal chucked a handful of sour cream and onion chips at the Roach Man. They scattered across its chest and face region and were quickly absorbed into the body. They sat in silence for quite some time, regarding one another. "Hal!" came a shriek from upstairs. "Hal, what the hell are you doing? Did you finish the dishes? I'm done cleaning up after your crap." Both Hal and the man looked up at the ceiling. Hal winced. "Ugh," sighed Hal. "I sure am tired of her racket. I wish she'd divorce me and move out instead of sitting up there like a resurrected Pol Pot." "Ugh," hissed the Roach Man. "Hold on a second, I've got something for you." The Roach Man's head swiveled on axis until it faced 180 degrees to the rear, like an attentive barn owl, watching Hal head for the kitchen. He returned shortly with most of an uneaten roaster chicken in a bag. The Roach Man swarmed forward. "Food Lion," it said. "Yeah, Food Lion. It's on the bag. I got it from the deli. The ones we sell at IGA aren't worth eating. This one ain't bad for a fast meal." Hal opened the yellow cellophane bag and set it on the table. "Have at it." The Roach Man transformed into a throng and covered the chicken. In a matter of seconds, nothing remained. Not a bone, not a speck of deep-fried skin, nothing. Hal smiled the smile of a man whose mind had begun to strategize. The Roach Man reformed on the couch, watching him with ravenous expectation. Hal sat back down and cracked another Pabst. His mind wandered in a circle of reasoning. There were no Roachmen, so he must be dreaming. The chicken was real, but now it's gone. Therefore, he was not dreaming. If it were a dream, it was at least entertaining and worth retelling to the fellows at work when he awoke. If, however, it was real, then a rare and wonderful opportunity had presented itself. He had a moment of introspection, a twinge of guilt, and then a surge of relief that trumped his conscience. Freedom was potentially within his grasp. He could do this with a little help. Bam, bam, bam! Small showers of dust fell from the ceiling and danced in the soft incandescent light. She loved to stomp on the floor. It meant she was tired of shouting and expected action on his part. He had dishes to do. She always had something for him to do. Their union was one of indentured servitude now. The Roach Man morphed into a large, frowning face, a chocolate-colored emoji of gigantic proportions. Yeah, me too, said Hal, tugging down on the corners of his mouth in an exaggerated expression of sadness. Bam, bam, bam. Hal! She screamed. Her ire was up now. She might even dare to roll out of bed and walk to the top of the stairs. Hal looked at the Roach Man, then the empty Food Lion sack and the remains that weren't there of the chicken. Food Lion, said the Roach Man. Hal looked up at the ceiling again. The plaster had cracked from her repeated pounding over the years. Hey, he said, follow me. I found you the largest chicken you'll ever eat. Food Lion, the Roach Man replied. Yeah, Food Lion. Hal took one last pull on the Pabst, crushed the can, and headed for the staircase with the Roach Man in tow.
Wow.
Awesome.
I think we worked with that guy.
Yeah,
I think we worked with Hal.
He just didn't have a Roach Man, but
No.
I love Hal.
Everybody's worked with that guy. If you've worked in retail ever, then you've worked with that guy, you know?
Yes.
And I love him. I love how he's just like, there's a Roach Man on my couch. Let me open a beer and hang out with it. Like,
And there's a big chicken upstairs. Chicken, let's go, guys.
that was cool, but that's it reminds me of that comic book horror. Have you thought of doing like a graphic novel or anything like that?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you asked. I sent Rob a picture.
Yes.
Just, I don't know, was it yesterday, Rob?
Yeah, just yesterday, James, and that's what I was going to ask. I didn't know if that was something that you drew or if you have a guy that does illustrations.
Oh, no, I can't draw stick figures. So I should probably say a word about my illustrator because he's an amazing guy, and then I'll answer Slim's question. So Connor Shipway was a fellow lecturer at NC State University in art. He's a friend of mine. He's a fabulous artist, and he's a cartoonist. He's an animator. If you go to connorshipway.com, he's got a website. He's also a computer programmer, so he creates games. He's just a fantastically creative individual. And he does all of my artwork. So he did the cover for 10 Bad Things. He did the cover for Tijuana Box. Cool. And currently I'm working on a project that kind of grew out of the fact that I have kids. And I mean, I don't know if your parents were this kind of person, but my kids occasionally want stories at bedtime. And if I'm not reading them a book, I just make something up right on the spot.
Oh, you'd be the best dad for that, though, I feel. You'd be the go-to dad. My kids loved it when they were younger, but now they really don't. They really don't anymore.
Well, I've got some kids that are young enough, so I can still occasionally get off the story. But it started I had started making up a story about this zany, sort of like magical wizardy type guy called Fudgetickl, and yeah, great name, right? And the kids just loved it, you know, and they'd be like, what are you going to tell us more about that? And then it grew into me including him in other things just as a joke. And then finally I got to the point where I was like, you know what, like this guy's grown into sort of his own universe and his own adventures. And so I'm actually writing book 1 of a series right now that's kind of geared toward kids. Like, did you guys grow up reading like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and the BFG and Witches, like by Roald Dahl?
No, I read a lot of Choose Your Own Adventures.
I did a lot of
Okay, all right.
I was a Goosebumps
Sorry,
kid.
go ahead.
Yeah,
I was a lot of Goosebumps.
I was before Goosebumps. All
right, well, you guys are missing out on the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You've seen the movie Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, those are all based on books by a British author by the name of Roald Dahl. He's long dead now. But I'm kind of shooting for that age group with this book. So, you know, between like 11 years old and like 15 years old, where you're still where life hasn't crushed your soul to the point where you can't have fun anymore.
Yeah.
So, where you still enjoy a good fart joke and you can laugh and you can enjoy life and things are funny.
Right,
So
and you're not hoping for a Roach Man to eat your wife or anything.
Yeah, I'm taking yeah, exactly. You're not begging for a Roach Man who will devour your wife. But yeah, so you're talking about the graphic novel kind of thing. This won't be a graphic novel, but it will be a novel that has lots of illustrative material through it. Cool. And Connor's artistic style lends itself very much to that sort of manga, anime, cartoony sort of feel. I know Rob saw the pictures.
Yes,
it's too bad it's podcast, but it's really great, entertaining kind of stuff. And so I'm really looking forward. The project's well underway. A lot of it is written. And he and I are going back and forth regularly, just, talking about illustrations. And the ones I sent were just some mock-ups. They lack color. They're just kind of like the sketches, but they really
kind of like a
in the right
storyboard
direction,
Yeah, that's why it was almost like a storyboard where I didn't know if it was just something you scribbled out. But that is awesome.
Yeah. It's great. I'm really excited about it. And the best part about it is you guys, you work in an artistic media with radio, and you have this, you guys are the ones who are invested in it, and you're the ones who are putting all your energy into it. And you have a partnership in that, right? It's the Rob and Slim show. And that feeds on it, right? I mean, it makes an excitement. You guys kind of riff on each other, and it keeps the machine going. A lot of people who write books, they actually have to pay someone to do their artwork. They have to hire a stranger, pitch them an idea and say, I need you to draw me a wizard.
And hope they get it. And hope they get your vision. And hope they understand what you want.
Yeah, exactly. And most of the time they don't care. They just want to make a buck. I mean, I'm generalizing there, but they're working for their money. They got 15 other projects going on. Connor and I, we're constantly going back and forth. And we're constantly saying, all right, tweak this. Or he'll draw something and it'll just be fantastic. And I'll be like, okay, that's going in the story. Like in the picture that you've got there, Fudgetickl, he's this clearly he's using magic, but if you can see in the one drawing, his magic wand thing has a talking duck head on it. And that wasn't anything I had come up with. He just drew him that way. He's like, this is how I see him. And I'm like, well, that's definitely going in the story. Because if you're going to have an insane, crazy wizard guy, he's got to have a duck-headed staff that quacks or whatever. So, that's going straight in.
Dude, that's cool. That's super cool. I want to throw in too, James. I saw your tweet about, what is it, the community book boxes in North Carolina. And I think that's
do you guys not have that? You guys are in Boston, right? Jersey, that area?
We're Jersey, but yeah, I've never seen anything like that. It's almost like just, the when you grab the newspapers or, type of thing. A newsstand.
I don't think it's an organized thing. I see them more and more. But I told you guys the first time we talked when I was on that Durham, North Carolina is my city. It's my town. I love it. It's dirty. It's Detroit kind of feeling. It's It's just a mixed bag, right? It's almost Jersey-like too. Yeah. And so you get all these people from all these places. It's got Duke University. And so you have a lot of thinking and creativity and artistry going on. And people build what looks kind of like big birdhouses with a door on the front.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And you just stuff books in it. So like you go home, you got a book on your shelf you haven't read in 15 years that you think, someone would like reading this. Well, you go throw it in the book box and anybody can come along and take that book. And so what I've done is I've got, print copies of my book and just jam them around town in these book boxes. So people randomly find a copy of Tijuana Box and Other Tales and 10 Bad Things and take it home and enjoy it.
That's so
awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I love that whole concept of just like pay it forward or they want to check something out and check something out that you wouldn't find.
Yeah, like it's a great way to get your work out there. Like that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought was, it's a win-win. Somebody gets a free book, and I hope that I get to be somebody's favorite author.
Right, like they start looking you up. What else did J.M.I. do?
Right? Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly.
Nice. J.M.I., we have to wrap this up, but dude, it's been a blast. It's been a great time talking to you.
Absolutely. I'll keep you guys posted on when the next set of work is ready to come out with old Fudgetickl. And and I'll come back hopefully and share a little bit of that with you.
I would love it. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter at 3badthings currently.
Cool.
And I also have an Amazon author page, which if you just Google up J.M.I. Gallagher Amazon, it'll pull up my books through Amazon. It'll also pull up the artist page as well.
Awesome.
And your books are free if you get Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah. If you get a Kindle Unlimited, you can get it for free. That's exactly right.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, James.
Absolutely, guys.
Have a good one.
Thanks, you too.